Assassin's Creed Revelations is the third game in the Ezio trilogy. It concluded Ezio's story outside of Embers, and gave us a deeper look into the creed of the assassins. And so I decided to start ghosting the game for fun. Now, just a quick rundown of the rules. Rule 1 is to not get detected, except for forced detection events. Rule 2 is to assassinate targets only, meaning I cannot assassinate non-targets and have to find non-lethal ways of dealing with some situations. Also, I want to note that this is a bit different from my usual stuff, mainly because I want to speak more on my videos to improve my speaking skills. This has always been my weakness, plus English is my second language, so I thought it would be more productive and beneficial for me if I can create videos and also improve my speaking skills. So yeah, let's start. This run starts of course at the very beginning of the game, just straight after the badass intro cutscene with Old Man Ezio escaping from the Templars. Right as we start, the ghost of Altair appears and this prompts us to simply follow him up Masyaf. So I had to jump into some planks and platforms until I reached safe ground. However, when I climbed up to the base of the castle, a Templar guard instantly spotted me. Now, since this was the tutorial, I kinda had a hunch that this was a forced encounter. But despite this, I decided to reload to see if there was a way to ghost past this guy. So since I couldn't just climb straight since he'll see me, I needed to get up in a different way. Fortunately, I was able to shimmy my way to the left side of the cliff and climb from there. This allowed me to get up to the area without getting spotted. However, despite being careful and not making any noise, the guard would instantly detect Ezio once we cross a certain threshold. This meant that I needed to avoid getting near this guard. Unfortunately, the path to the next objective is right beside him. I tried to look for other ways up. Like for example, I saw a node in the western wall and tried to climb up, but Ezio didn't have the height to get up there. And so without any other choice, I had to allow the guard to detect me and engage in a fist fight with him. With that done, I went ahead and climbed into the next area, following the ghost of Altair. Once I got up there, Ezio was able to retrieve his hidden blade and sword. However, since we're ghosting, the sword is not really that much of a help. Still, you never know. In the next section, which was a very wide area, 4 guards were waiting for Ezio. At first, I tried to look around and see if there was an alternate path to take to bypass these guys. I tried to hang to the sides of the stone railings, however, there was really no way to move from one pillar to another. And so again, I had to accept that I was to be detected here. Still, remember that this is still the tutorial, so this was really expected. Now, since I decided to face the guards head on, I thought at first that I needed to knock each one of them out since they were not targets. Because you see, in Revelations, when there is a group of guards that are kill targets, you usually have a kill counter in the UI. However, in this part, there was none. So this meant that these guys are not targets. Fortunately, while fighting them, I saw Altair's ghost just run and direct me to the next objective. Here, I had a thought that I might be able to just run away from these guards and hightail my way to the next objective. And so I did exactly that, and that was actually doable. I was able to use a lift and lost the guards. Then I just now had to climb up the castle while following Altair's ghost. There's really not much to say here, we're just taking the scenic route. While climbing and following Altair, I do end up bumping into some guards, but since they always have their backs on Ezio, it was easy to knock them out. Now, I know that Ezio's knockout animations are really brutal, but trust me, the enemies are not dead. They are always wiggling and crying from pain, so we're still ghosting. Eventually, I was able to reach the spot where Altair wanted to take Ezio, and Ezio, being the GOAT, realized what he had to do. He Sparta-kicked a 100-year-old statue and committed major property damage while performing a leap of faith into an underground pool. After emerging from the pool, we instantly get spotted by a guard eating an apple. Now, since this guy was not a target, I made sure that I only used my fist during the fight to knock him out. After looting him for a bit of cash, I headed deeper into the underground crypt. Here I spotted a huge door and some Templar guards working in the area. Now in this part, the game actually identified the guards in the area as targets. meaning that it would not be against the rule to assassinate and kill them all. I just had to make sure that I am also not detected. However, since I like to do a bit of non-lethal stealth as well, I decided to try and complete this part with just knockouts. To do this, I first had to get down quietly and not alert any of the guards. During my first attempt, the closest guard to me was able to hear and spot me after I dropped down. The game also automatically equipped the hidden blade, so I just stabbed the guy when I was trying to punch him. Anyway, since that happened, I decided to reload. This time, I looked around my inventory to see if I could use anything to help me do some non-lethal stealth. This was when I realized I had poison darts. If you don't know, in Assassin's Creed 2, Brotherhood, and Revelations, punching a poisoned enemy will put them into the knockout stage instantly. Since the poison dart will allow me to poison the closest guard from afar and stun him, this gave me the window I needed to get down and punch the guard. With him down, the rest of the guards were easy targets. I simply sneaked behind them and used Ezio's brutal knockout moves to take them out, non-lethally. With all the guards down, I talked to the guy who was working on the door non-stop. He mentioned the book that the Templar captain keeps to himself. For old man Ezio, this book might be something that holds the key to what he is actually looking for. And so the next mission is all about getting the book. We head out from the crypt and into the castle courtyard. In the courtyard, I saw a group of guards patrolling a certain route. The safest way I know how to get past them is to simply drop down from the overlooking cliff and into the training yard of the castle. Here, it is relatively safe to move since the patrols are far away. Now, all I had to do was wait for the best timing to get past them. I made my way to a blind spot just below where the targets were coming from. Once they passed me and all their backs were facing me, I simply snuck off and ran to the ladder leading to the next area. Here, another set of guards are patrolling the platform. However, this one is a bit more difficult since the guards are patrolling a very small area, so I have limited space and time to work with. The best way I found was to simply make my way to the other side of the platform, and shimmy my way to get close to the path leading to my objective. I also tried looking if there was a way to climb to the next area via the side of the tower, but there's an invisible wall there, so this meant I had to go through the group of guards to continue the mission. Once they were looking back from me, I ran into the wall and quickly climbed up. Now, if this was real life, the guards would have likely seen me and alerted the whole palace. But since this is Assassin's Creed, they were simply suspicious, shown by the yellow SSI meters. Though there were two guards who had some partial red in their meters, but since they didn't have full red meters, that meant they haven't detected me. Once everything was clear, I made my way up the tower and made my exit by jumping off with a parachute. While falling down, I saw a group of Templars that I needed to follow. This part was not really challenging in any way. All I had to do was follow them from afar and parkour around the buildings in the village. There was really no risk of getting caught or detected by the group I'm following or other guards in the area. Then eventually I get into the cutscene where the Templar captain was leaving. Since Ezio is a badass, he jumped straight into the fray and cut down some soldiers during my ghost run. Thanks, Ezio. Anyways, this started the mission where Ezio was holding on for dear life and needed to make his way into the horse carriage. After a few moments of crawling his way into the rope, he eventually got into the carriage by also killing another non-target enemy. Unfortunately, the captain that we were chasing climbed onto a different carriage. This led to a long chase where we had to make sure to survive until the next cutscene. While Ezio was chasing the captain, a random guard just locked onto Ezio and threw a bomb at him, causing him to fall into the cliff. But because Ezio is a goat, he survived the bomb, the cliff, and the heights. He then made his way back up and found Leandros, the captain we have been chasing. And like any other stereotypical villains, he commanded his men to finish off Ezio instead of fighting him directly. So now we are in a forced combat situation. Again, since there's a target skill counter in the UI, this meant I could kill these guards. But same as before, I wanted to take them out non-lethally. Doing this was a bit tricky early on since Ezio doesn't have the unarmed counter that was present in Black Flag. When Ezio counters an enemy with a weapon, he just disarms them and equips the weapon himself. So to knock out the enemies, I had to execute an unarmed combo against them until Ezio uses his non-lethal finisher. Now in a 1v1 this would be easy. However, since I'm fighting 3 enemies, I have to time things correctly, and also dodge when an enemy decides to attack me while I'm punching someone. Also, whenever I disarm someone, I had to toggle the run button and then press shift so I can drop the weapon, which was a bit of annoying since I do end up accidentally disarming enemies multiple times. But regardless of this, I eventually was able to land my combos and knock out all the guards. After claiming the loot from my enemies, I then proceeded to the next area to chase Leandros. On the way was a single guard who was patrolling the only path up the village. At first, I wanted to just knock him out, but after observing his pattern, I realized I could just run past him when he was standing on the west side of the platform. So I waited for the opportune moment, and when it was there, I ran for it. I climbed to the village by using a water wheel and found myself behind another guard. Due to the position of this one, there was no need to do anything to him, so I simply made my way down into the village streets. Once I was close to some guards, it was just a matter of waiting. I hid behind a horse cart waiting for the nearest guard to move away. I then made my way to a haystack and waited again until the 2 guards facing me moved away. After they moved away, I simply followed them closely and took a path from their right without being seen. This path led straight into like a village center where there are a lot of guards but also some NPC groups that are usable for social stealth. When I entered this area, a random guard instantly became suspicious since I was directly in front of his view cone. Fortunately, he didn't fully detect me, so I had some time to walk away and join a group of NPCs where I vanished using social stealth. I then had to do a bit more of waiting until the guards around me cleared out and I was free to move. As I went ahead deeper into the village, I had to navigate around more guards and hide in dark spots. In some cases, I had to rely on NPC groups to completely become invisible from nearby guards. Eventually, once the coast was all clear and I had perfect timing, I simply walked and sprinted to the objective. After passing the gate, a cutscene started where Leander started taunting Ezio. But Ezio had other plans and decided to close the gate so his target had nowhere to go. Now this part started with forced combat as a group of guards attacked Ezio. At first, I made the mistake of running around attempting to climb buildings. However, since Ezio was injured, he was incapable of climbing and other high-profile movements. Because of this, I ended up having a whole army chase me around the area. Eventually, this led to me getting desynced. So when I replayed this part, I decided to just stay near the gate and deal with the first group of guards that attacked Ezio. Similar to the fight I had before, this took a long while since I was trying to knock out all the enemies instead of killing them. However, I also would like to note that there is no target skilled counter on the UI, and so this means that the guards are non-targets. And so after literally minutes of dodging, disarming, and punching guards, I was able to knock out those who were currently attacking Ezio. With them down, I simply looted medicines from their body and fully healed myself. With Ezio in full condition, he can now climb and do parkour moves again. The easiest spot I found to get to the next objective was to simply pass through the eastern rooftops, where there's only one sniper patrolling the rooftops. This was also very close to the objective, so it just made sense to go here. After some sneaky parkour, I performed the leap of faith into a haystack. I made sure that the surrounding area was safe before I came out and went into the checkpoint. Now, all that was left was to climb the tower and avoid getting hit by the snipers. Now, I want to note here that there is no way to avoid being seen by the snipers in this section. Once you start climbing, they will spawn there and start shooting. So the only way forward was just to start climbing. The way up is really straightforward, so there shouldn't be any issue. Although if you are unlucky, you might get shot multiple times. But for this run, I was fortunate to not get hit.
Do your worst, Malakas!
Eventually, I made it into the rope which propelled me up to the top of the tower. Here, I came face to face with Leandros. When I engaged in combat with him, I tried to equip my fist in an attempt to try and knock him out. While I knew this was not gonna do much, I still wanted to try. However, I learned that the game locks you into only using the hidden blade in this fight, so I had no choice but to just perform a counter kill with the hidden blade.
Don't you ever stop howling.
And with this, I assassinated Leandros and completed the first sequence of revelations.
Well, the old hound still has a bite.